Welcome to Three in the Key.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Three in the Key. It's been a long time. Elias El-Zein alongside Fuad Ahad and Will Macklin or Wacklin. What do you want to go with?
Call me whatever you want, my dude.
Usually the intro is Will Macklin.
Yeah, just call me
Right?
happy to be here, honestly.
It's been a long time, fellas, and obviously still because of, the global pandemic. Unfortunately, we're not in studio, so we're
you
here on
mention
Zoom. Yeah,
you
but
better make it sure.
we're here, and the NBA playoffs are underway in a bubble. The NBA has been back for almost a month now. But the playoffs is been most series are about 3 games in. What have you guys liked so far? I've enjoyed it. No positive tests, which is the big thing, obviously.
Yeah.
We saw a little bit of that. We covered, mentioned it quickly, the CEDL on CBC a couple weeks ago, and they had safe zones, and no one tested positive. A lot of work went in behind the scenes. So the same thing with the NBA, obviously on a bigger scale. But it's shown that it could work, like a bubble situation, have everyone in a place, have the protocols, the safety measures, the social distancing, the masks when you're obviously not on the court or on the bench when they're walking around, and everything like that. Everyone is just under, or in one location. You have your few arenas, you have the hotels, and it's obviously been a success so far, and us fans have been loving what we've been seeing.
Yeah, well, when you have the resources that they have, man, it's crazy to think that they're in Florida, where that stuff is going crazy there.
Yeah.
So the state itself, each of the cities there, they're in Orlando, and it's just devastated by the virus. Yet they're able to create this tiny bubble where they're not allowing the virus to get into the bubble whatsoever. And it's to think that it's actually working the way it's working. It's pretty insane. The way how contagious it is, and all the scientific things that go into how deadly this virus is. And they've gone with 0 positive cases for a while now, since the very beginning of the bubble. So that's amazing. It's amazing that pretty much all the players and media people in there are following the rules. Like, I was listening to a podcast actually with Mark Stein of ESPN. He was on there talking about he's in the bubble right now, part of the media that's in the bubble, and all the stuff that goes into it. They have to get tested every single day. They have this wristband, and it's like a proximity sensor. If you're less than 6 feet next to someone, and for 10 seconds or more, it starts beeping, and you have to get away from them. Like that's crazy, to even think about it.
That's gone into it.
And then the NBA has done a good job with this, and they've invested money into doing research for it, and they've developed with I forget what university it was, but they've developed a faster, a quicker, a more efficient test, less invasive test. So, and another thing I read was that they have offices in China, right? They have the NBA offices in China. This started in Wuhan, China. So the NBA was looking at this virus and looking into the situation well before, governments around the world were looking at it. So they've been prepared to, for this to happen, for this to come to the States, for the league to get suspended and all that stuff. So
well, there was a lot of conversation around that time, and in end of January, when it was picking up over there and then making its way throughout the world on that side of the globe before coming to North America. And there was a conversation being had where it's possible that the NBA was going to play games without fans. Like, everyone was still going to be.
The Warriors were ready to do it.
Exactly. It was the Warriors. I forget who they were playing.
And I remember LeBron came out and said, "We can't do that."
Right,
he's like, "I can't play, with no fans."
Real LeBron came out.
Fans. Exactly. But then a little bit after, he's like, "Oh, we're gonna do what's best for the situation."
Puppet
and what the
LeBron
NBA,
came back.
Puppet LeBron.
and what the NBA says. And so they were looking at it. It doesn't surprise me. And I knew the time and the work and the effort that was put in by the NBA and the commissioner and everyone planning this. I knew it was going to be a success.
Definitely.
So far,
well, think about with the MLB too, who actually presented first with the bubble. Like, that was their idea, and they're like, "Now we'll travel between states. That's better," and that was wrong for sure. So after that, they got this. The NBA has been just so much fun to watch, and even when we cover CBL, we didn't hear any tests, and and then the NHL has been okay too with their hubs. I mean, they're sticking with Canada. We'll see what happens with the NFL, but nonetheless, it's been fun to watch. And what has been different, obviously, the virtual fans is amazing. There's more space on the sidelines as well, and that's been just kind of changes the game a little bit. And also, we talked about it with the other league as well, that with having no fans, some guys have breakout kind of games. And TJ Warren's been an example of that. He's just a bubble guy, and he's just been killing it.
Hasn't been so in the playoffs.
Well, Butler's been shutting him up easy there, so that's been no problem. But then, but guys like Lillard obviously coming through. I mean, we're looking at the Portland's record before they came in. Didn't look like they were going to go for it. They forced Pelicans in because they wanted Zion money, and then lo and behold, because Portland is every game is a playoff game leading up to this Lakers series. They survive and they get through playing guys that are clinched, and so they're resting dudes already, playing load management in the tight schedule. So it's been fun to watch, and for me visually, it hasn't really been that different, really, right? I mean, it is going to be weird when we do get into deeper into playoffs and like third round, in the finals, obviously, where you need that crowd seems to be there. But right now, it seems fine. But jarring with baseball, when a home run happens. And it jarring with like even hockey of like, it's fine, but it feels like they've been set up with it, for this. And
it's kind of like a summer league feel, right? Now summer league is bigger and you have those crowds there.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, summer league wasn't what it is today or what we're used to. Not many fans or no one at all, or just media. And so this is like kind of like a big tournament. Like everyone gets into one place. And then they play.
It takes away.
They play each other.
Like you have basketball, and then you have the extracurriculars. So having the fans, your massive crowd, tens of thousands of people there. That's a fun aspect of it, but that's it's outside of that actual basketball part of it, where you have the most talented basketball players playing against each other. So you take that away, and all you're left with is the basketball. So you don't have the, all the extracurriculars. So that's been so fun to watch. It's been so fun to watch a guy like Damian Lillard, because it's just all you got is a basketball. There's no fans jawing at him and he's like firing back at them. It's just him against, Paul George, or him against Patrick Beverley, whoever it may be. They're taking it out onto social media. He's coming back the next game, dropping 51 points, dropping 61 points, and mind.
What do you make of? I'll ask Elias this, but LeBron said something about, I guess when they took the first L in Portland there, didn't he say something about, well, there's no fans out here? It's different. Now, what kind of
making a lot of comments? He's been making a lot of comments about that. Remember, it goes with just what I mentioned earlier. It goes back to the whole beginning. If we're going back a month, well, it feels like even like a year almost, but like in January or February, when the idea was being floated, like, oh, we might have to possibly finish out the season with no fans because of the pandemic and how it's spreading. And LeBron's like, I haven't played in an empty gym or with no crowd in a very long time. It kind of maybe gets him, going.
I think he's ever played in an empty gym. Thinking of LeBron James, like in high school. Gyms were packed watching LeBron James.
So he's probably talking before that, maybe middle school,
well before that, primary school.
But for him, I guess, obviously the crowd gets him going. He does it for the fans and all that, which you want an athlete, to acknowledge, because they're they play a big part in your fame and getting you rich with buying your your gear, your shoes, and all that. But I think what Fuad mentioned earlier, you don't have all that distraction, and you're just going 5 against 5 in an empty gym with the referees and whatnot. And the next thing too about the bubble that I like is obviously those teams that were there, didn't make the playoffs, they leave right away. Right, so it's less and less people, and as the rounds go on, it's going to be like that. But then you have the family members go in, so I think that's going to be maybe a little tricky.
Well, I think that might,
if they have to get tested.
When you see some people get tested positive, that's when it gets tricky, because now you've been good.
Exactly.
So it's bringing those people who weren't taking I'm sure like the NBA told his players, hey, when their practice facilities were opening up, okay, you still have to get tested, you still have to do certain things, and they're probably telling them avoid public, situations and environments. And then we saw the Raptors even get to Florida earlier than everyone else. They were isolated on a campus somewhere not too far from Orlando, and then they made the drive to Orlando
Right.
with their buses and everything like that. And those teams. So when you bring the family members, have they been taking those precautions? Are they being tested? Because even the guys that leave the bubble have to be tested daily outside of the bubble. Because if you don't, then it's a longer quarantine.
I think Conley's coming back maybe.
He came back today.
He came back today and they won.
He did everything he had to do.
He had a big game.
Yeah, he had a huge game.
Now it's about the family. Are they being tested? Baby. When do they get? When do they start getting tested?
Yeah.
You dodged my question though, Elias. I asked you the LeBron thing. Well, you didn't say anything about that. You're just like, there's no fans. But tell me what you make of it as a Laker guy.
I mean, it's an excuse. What do you want me to tell you?
Why is that an excuse? Like, how is that? Did you know that there are also no fans for the other team? Like, I don't understand. Like,
I think
it shouldn't be. I don't think it has an effect.
That's the thing with LeBron. Yeah. I think LeBron sees himself as, the leader of NBA players. As that brotherhood.
He's the face of the franchise, or the face of the league still.
Of the league,
right?
exactly. So for him, he's gonna say what everyone else there is thinking. What pisses me off is when the media takes certain things and then makes an excuse for LeBron's, or LeBron fans take it and make an excuse for him as though he's the only one experiencing certain things. Like you'll see tweets from, media people, talking about, this is the first time LeBron has had to play with no fans, or this is the first time that LeBron's been away from his family for this long, blah, blah, blah.
But
what about everyone else? Exactly.
Yeah,
what about everyone else?
And it's
not, away from the family. It's not necessarily LeBron using it as an excuse. I think to me, he's speaking for all the other players. This is what we're all going through.
But they all could have said, okay, we don't want to play because we don't want to be away from our families for that long. But everyone wanted to play. There's money on the line for the league and for the players, obviously.
Lots of TV deal,
Lots of TV money for players and guys who maybe can't afford to set out like LeBron James, who has millions on millions stacked. Think of the 13th guy on the team or the 10th guy or whatever. They need these paychecks. And some other guys who've had the opportunity, like a Trey Burke who got signed because Willie Cauley-Stein opted out.
Exactly. Can you imagine?
And who's been making most of his opportunity will probably end up having a contract somewhere now.
Yeah.
Tyler Johnson, who had a career high today in points and three-point makes against the Raptors in Game 3. So guys like that, they want to go out, they want to play. Of course, they probably have some family. Maybe some younger guys don't have their own kids or a wife or whatnot. But they still have parents or siblings or cousins or whatever that they hang out with. So everyone has no family in the bubble until the second round.
But what if, my thing is, what if LeBron and Lakers beat Portland now, just win the next 3 or something? And you're like, so LeBron, what was it like now, winning 4 straight without fans? Was that hard? Come on, it doesn't make any sense. You obviously said that because you just took that first L, and you're struggling. It's no, actually, they've been playing basketball this week. You took 4 days off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Why can't it be just that? Why are you no fans?
To me, it's not it shouldn't be mentioned as an excuse. This is not something that's against you because Portland had no fans there too, or them playing in front of a crowd. Even if they would have played a game 1 on the road in LA, for example, at Staples, there would have still been fans. Yes, they would have been against them, but there still would have been fans.
My thing is, does it because it influences? They did studies on the influence of the referees at the home.
Yeah, well, that is a big thing of it. Yeah, for referees, I think they're going to officiate in
maybe that's what LeBron was talking about. That's what
I mentioned. Maybe, right?
Maybe, yeah. But speaking of all that, one of the coming into this restart, the NBA had estimated that they would lose $1 billion in revenue if they didn't finish this season, and that
There's
revenue.
No way they were going to do that.
That revenue is split between teams and players. So. 50-50. $500 million of revenue for these players for this season gone. They're not going to say no. Let's not do this.
No, even LeBron's not going to say no.
Yeah, no, there's no way.
Also, a guy in his 17th year who has a legitimate shot, finish first in the West, and winning a title. LeBron James is the guy all about adding to his legacy. So now, if he wins a 3rd championship on a 3rd different team and does it in the West after his whole career, they've been bashing him.
Comes out.
So he's gonna love it.
Yeah.
But I don't see it as an excuse. I see it as you can be more focused. But I did mention that the officiating would change. I think the officials benefit the most with no fans because we don't see those makeup calls. They're getting into it.
I'd say there isn't bad calls still.
There is bad calls. But I'm not saying they're going to get into it with players. But they're not scared to, like at the beginning of the couple of the first seeding games for Houston, like Harden was getting like 3-4 fouls a half. Like
Yeah.
I don't remember ever seeing that in a regular game, because the crowd would get into the referees. You have the chants and the booing and stuff like that. These are officials, right? So
They're human beings. They get influenced by the crowd around them, and like you're not
exactly.
going to do it.
But here in a bubble, you just have the coach who you're used to having this dialogue with, and the coach knows there's a line up to pass. Same with players, because the referee has the advantage in terms of handing out techs.
Yeah.
Once you get your first tech, then you're like on your best behavior, because the second one, and you're ejected and you're fined and you're losing money.
You'll
So I think the referees are not scared to officiate and give those calls that maybe they wouldn't give in a regular setting.
Yeah, and I think overall it's been good officiating. It's been solid officiating. Some right calls made, but then you'll get situations like the ejection on Porzingis.
Yeah, of course.
That was just ridiculous. The Mavericks could be up 2-1 right now, potentially 3-0 right now. But that only happened because you're talking about making up a call because they called a tech on Paul George for throwing his fist. I think that's a ridiculous reason that's
but they implemented that a few years ago, like the whole like punching the air and reacting.
Do this, but if you go like this, that's not a tech. Like
MJ when he did that, when he scored that shot there, that's a tech now.
That's a tech now, exactly. But then because Paul George did
what about Kobe when he hit that OT?
Tee him up,
against
dude.
Phoenix.
That's a T, technical.
Give him a T, dude. Get him out there.
But then they gave a tech to Paul George for that, so they had to give one to Kristaps when he did the same thing.
Of course.
Right? They had to give it to him. So that right there is ridiculous for that to be in the rule book. But then they give him a tech, and again, they have to give a tech for the altercation there because he doesn't go in to be a peacemaker. He went in to instigate the situation.
Yeah, and even this game today with we just watched with Harold and Luka got
double
tied
tech,
up.
Double tech,
they get double T, but Luka was just getting through, and then Harold flopped. So you get two T's there.
Yeah.
Or nothing happens. How about
there should be no text there whatsoever.
But then Weber's like, yeah, that's on Luka. I'm like, dude, like, are you watching this game, my man? Like, come on.
Chris Webber, man,
he's whack
on so much.
He was like crapping on Luka the whole time, and then he flipped it. He's like, okay, maybe the producer's like, all right, easy on the Slovenian guy there, dude. Like, and then he's like, oh, okay, he's actually really good. But then he missed all the free throws, and then he gets hurt.
A lot of free throws there, man. Like, something was already up with him for sure. And it's hard to agree with Chris Webber during his commentating games, but there was one thing that, like, because during that game, obviously the Clippers came out physical. The Clippers were beating them up, trying to, force themselves onto Dallas. Exactly, set the tone, and then but the Mavericks were reacting to it, which is what the Clippers wanted. And then Chris Webber was like, as the young team, don't react to that. You should know that they are playing this way because they're trying to get back into the series. They're the ones that are below you in the series now. That's the reason why they're playing so physical. You as a Mavs should take it as a compliment and play your game. And I think they got way too emotional at the beginning of the game tonight, where you saw Kristaps, getting into Marcus Morris's face. You had obviously Luka.
Yeah, because Marcus does those a little extra activities,
and he's
doing his hand
for you to react to it.
Clippers want that. It's Pat Bev's whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. So for them to react to it against a young team, but you're giving the Clippers and these guys on the Clippers.
That being said, the Clippers don't look great though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to say the Mavs have been playing well, but like, they go up and then they give up these runs and they don't stay on the lead. Like, even tonight, it was like Luka went down and they were still kind of creeping up, like close to
Seth Curry. Seth Curry had the game of his life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Tim Hardaway had to hit some shots.
Yeah.
So and imagine if they had a healthy Luka. Like, we're talking about a different game here. Kawhi is looking.
Kawhi is just Kawhi, man. Imagine he had playoff P. Imagine he had playoff P playing well.
Who? Pandemic P?
Pandemic P. That's right.
This guy, I like the Chuck. Charles
Championship
Barkley. Chuck. I'm like, why are we even looking at George right now? Like, he's not good. He's like,
honestly, why are we? Yeah, I don't know.
Again, another night where he struggled at the office in terms of shooting.
Horrible game.
And if I was Kawhi right now and I'm looking at the Raptors smoking the Nets, like, oh, dude, I went with this guy. At least I'm home, but not really. I'm in Orlando.
Yeah, I'm in Orlando right now playing all these games. Yeah, I don't even get to be a hometown hero and a hometown fan.
That's the other thing. I think these kids are having a tough time too. Like, when it comes to like being in your hotel and then go work. I mean, for some people it's good, like they can just focus on ball. But for me, like, it's the same. You're looking at the same walls all the time. You get
Yeah.
anxious.
But they get to go out. There's a bubble. You can go out to eat. We saw Nick
Yeah.
Nurse riding a bike. They go
Yeah,
fishing.
yeah.
There's a game
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
No,
They've
it's
installed
true.
a barbershop. I mean, like you can go
They've got a
chill
big
there.
enough, big enough area in the bubble,
It's
but
huge.
at the same time, these are 20-something-year-old millionaires, right?
Yeah.
So in a
Yeah,
normal
they're used to a
situation,
different lifestyle.
exactly,
And
exactly.
to
And
go
they play
wherever
on
they
a-
want,
yeah,
whenever they
In
want.
Florida.
And
yeah, exactly. Well, think about just the matchups in these games. So you have Dallas versus LA. You got Dallas, Texas, and you have Los Angeles, California. Are the two places you'd be playing,
Yeah.
this series. Think about Toronto, Brooklyn. You got Toronto, you got New York. Like
yeah,
places you'd normally be playing, but right now you're in a bubble in Disney World. Like
Yeah.
that's a weird place to be. So,
it's
but for
it's
me,
crazy how it's been. But man, I don't know.
I do like the games
I don't
though.
have
Like
feelings.
it's like
oh,
March
these have been
Madness.
amazing. They've been amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, from like 1:30 all day. Like
Yeah,
that's nuts.
Yeah.
They
Exactly.
never.
yeah.
It's so cool. And then there's no like 2 game like a day off and then like
2
three
days off,
games.
yeah.
Yeah, the travel
Yeah,
part
yeah,
of it.
none of that. Yeah, yeah.
It's like, and it's all condensed, which is cool.
Yeah.
And I think they're pushing it even more. Like they wanted to do October, but I think they want to start it as early as like end of September now with the finals. Because
Yeah.
Well, it depends
Yeah.
how fast the series go.
Yeah, how
Right
the
now,
series go, yeah.
you have Toronto and Boston who are both up 3-0. I think
Yeah.
those series are over. Like other than Joel, like Philly looks defeated. I don't even know. That's a whole dumpster fire
that's
on its own. I don't even want to get
Brett
into
Brown
the whole
fired?
coaching.
Brett Brown
for
is
sure,
getting
100%.
fired, I think, for sure. There's no
but like,
question.
does
100%.
Ben Simmons getting hurt save him?
No.
I don't think so. You still have Joel.
Because technically, you still have a very talented roster.
Yeah, yeah. Come
You
on, look
still
at
have
Al
all the money you
Al
spent.
Horford and Tobias Harris. You've seen all
Yeah.
the posts
Horford,
about
not a
those
good
two
signing.
guys. $300 million or something to those two
Same
guys.
with Tobias. Like he's a guy. You know how we always mention putting up stats on a bad teams like Detroit.
Yeah,
he put up
exactly,
stats.
yeah.
Empty
It's true.
calorie stats.
Yeah, it's
The
true.
Clippers too, and they flipped him
Yep.
over there. So
And I think part of the reason why Butler left is because of Tobias.
Yeah, yeah.
all that. Well, I
Tobias
think
Harris, Ben Simmons.
Simmons as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like again, I think those are those soft guys that he talks about that you criticize them and they take it personally and they get all upset about it. That's an interview.
And Harris got his money now. Like he got his max deal. He's gonna
he got his
show up.
money,
He's gonna
exactly,
play. But is he gonna put? Is
He's
he
not
gonna
gonna
be
play to
like?
win a
well?
championship.
Look at Jimmy Butler. Okay, you put
Oh,
him on
yeah.
a team with these guys. Like we knew they were gonna make the playoffs because they had Jimmy. But to do this well, possibly go up 3-0 tomorrow. They're up 2-0. Looked really good against
Yeah.
Indiana.
I think
I
they
think
beat Milwaukee.
I think they could beat Milwaukee.
I
To
think
be
they beat
honest, I wouldn't be
Milwaukee.
shocked.
Yeah.
You put them around with shooters. You put them around with guys who are gonna play hard, who are gonna
Yeah.
get up after it.
Yeah.
The way he stood up for Duncan Robinson when Chris Paul
Yeah,
at
when Chris Paul-
the last
yeah.
seeding game or one
Yeah,
of
I
the
love
last
that,
seeding games
yeah.
when he threw the ball at him.
Yeah.
If a leader on your team is doing that for you, Duncan Robinson, they always keep mentioning he was a Division III, then went to D1. This
Yeah.
is kind of like, no disrespect, great shooter, but kind of like a nobody, I guess, in the NBA,
Yeah, in a
or
sense,
just
for
a
sure, yeah.
regular
Yeah, it's
shooter
fine.
that's on your team. But to have a guy like Jimmy Butler, a star in this league,
Yeah.
stand up for you and defend you, and then
Yeah.
go out into the
Go and
media and talk
tackle the
about it.
president of the National Basketball Players Association for
Yeah.
you. You know?
Yeah.
Exactly. So you're gonna obviously when you're on the floor with him, you're gonna give it your all on both ends.
Yeah.
I really like the way Miami plays, and
Oh, for sure.
no matter where they finish this season, they're adding another superstar
Oh,
to
no
that
question.
team in the offseason.
No question. And the question
They're
is
gonna
going to
be-
be, is it going to be Joel Embiid? Is going to be one of those questions, right?
Yeah.
And yes, I would like him on that team, but not if you're giving up Bam Adebayo, man. That guy he's
No,
going to get
keep
even
him.
better next season. He's going to get even
Mhm.
better the season
Plus,
after
the
that.
question mark, unfortunately, with Joel is always the injuries, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if he wants to try hard.
Whether
Sometimes,
he wants to
he
try
doesn't. It looks like he's trying it. He looks like he's giving it all.
In
You see
this,
how
yeah.
upset he is
Yeah.
on the sideline. Like, man, like
And look at his numbers, man. He's putting up
after
numbers.
game one, he put up great numbers, and he's like, man, I have to do more.
I have to do more, yeah.
But
Even
like
though
Ben
you
Simmons
got
out,
I
they
have to
look
do
better.
more.
They look like more of a team without Ben Simmons, but then they would be better with Ben Simmons. It's a
yeah,
weird thing.
exactly. Basketball wise, they're obviously a better team. But again, like they didn't. I don't know. Respect to
mesh.
Elton Brand, but they didn't
No,
build the
man.
team well. You don't
No,
have
they
you have
didn't.
no shooters
On
around.
paper, they're good.
Yeah, you have
So
names.
good.
You have names, but Tobias Harris
Yeah.
can't shoot. Al Horford can't shoot. Josh Richardson should be able to shoot, but he's not shooting.
And they
Like
try to go with
funny
their
'cause-
point guard there. That
Shake Milton.
Yeah, what the heck? Milton was supposed to be the guy, right? They're like, oh, he's good. Like, was he?
Yeah.
He's not good though.
And like,
They should
well, he's
give
not ready
him-
for this. He's not ready for this situation
No.
right now. You know.
Who
Like
is though?
what they're trying to
It's a
do.
pandemic. Fuad. Who hasn't won?
But
It looks
yeah,
like the
no,
Raptors
Philly.
are, man. The
Yeah,
Raptors are
man, they've
very
been
ready for
ready,
this. Raptors are
Well,
ready to defend that championship,
they
man.
look
which is
like the
nice to
best
see.
team
Yeah.
You think so?
in the bubble.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they're playing the Nets, obviously.
But
No
even
Obviously,
Durant,
before that,
no
in the seeding
Kyrie.
games, they had a tough schedule,
yeah, exactly. That's what. Yeah, they
and they
had a
did
tough
really
schedule
well.
seed in the seeding games.
They were what, 7-1?
7-1. Yeah,
They
they
got, yeah,
lost the
but
one
that
game against
one though,
Boston.
that one.
Well, you got all the conspiracies though. Where it's like, oh, Nick Nurse doesn't want to, show all his cards to Brad Stevens and all that. Blah blah blah.
That's
I don't
gonna be
believe
a
any of that, but
phenomenal second
oh,
round.
yeah, I'm excited for that. I hope.
Last year we got a 7-game series between Philly and Toronto, obviously ending on that historic shot that it's going to be talked about for the next,
Forever.
decades. Yeah,
Forever.
exactly, pretty much.
Yeah.
Now it's going to be like, what are we going to get from Boston against Toronto, Atlantic
Yeah.
Division rivals?
Yeah.
They always
Yeah.
go at it. You
And
have
it's
the
good because they missed
players.
him last year, right? They missed him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have the talent on both sides. Tatum, I think, has been I think he's taken his game to another level. I really like what Jalen Brown's been
Yeah.
doing.
Both those
Mhm.
They
guys.
lost Hayward, but Marcus Smart has stepped into that starting role.
Hayward's
He's a
not that
dog.
good, honestly.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just
Hayward has
mentioning
been
it.
he's been really good though.
He's,
He's been
Eh,
putting up good numbers in the bubble for sure.
yeah,
I'd
but
still
here, but like
take
in the series, he was whack.
Toronto and Nick Nurse over
Yeah, Nick
Brad
Nurse
Stevens.
he's too good, man. Like you see the efficiency, you see the numbers across the board, just like the collectively as a team. Like I think it was Serge Ibaka and Norman Powell both killed it today off the bench. Like
Oh yeah.
Serge has been playing really well in the bubble and in the
really well,
postseason.
yeah.
And then they win this game. If they win, I think they play again on Sunday. And if they sweep them, then I'm sure that you get like a few days off before
Yeah.
round two gets underway, right? Depending on
Yeah.
That's right.
whatever else happens.
Also,
in the
huge win
East.
for racism there to not happen in Golden State.
What are you talking about? The Masai
yeah.
Ujiri situation?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So weird, a cop lied like that.
Yeah, who would have thought?
I know,
Wow. He's power tripping.
Brutal.
And
Just,
when it first came out, like a lot of reports were saying, or the police, whatever county this is, was saying, oh, Masai was
The Oakland one?
well, no, it's
no, it's
something
Alameda,
else, right?
Alameda County.
Alameda County,
Sheriff's.
yeah.
Oh, the old home of the Oakland Raiders head office. That's right.
Yeah.
That's something you would know.
I did. I went there.
So the reports were saying, oh, he didn't show his credentials or didn't have his credentials, but in that video on the body camera, you see Masai reaching
Yeah.
for it and bringing it out.
It's
Yeah.
all everything they
Right
said
away,
was obviously
pushed
a lie.
not once, twice.
Twice.
I don't know.
Shoved
That
him.
looked like it could have been manipulated the tape, guys. I don't know.
Oh yeah, who knows? Yeah.
Props to Masai for not swinging because
I can't believe he didn't start
Yeah.
a fight. Like that's
The guy ruined his moment. It's
Yeah.
such a pathetic. thing.
exactly at the core of it, in just a sports kind of perspective. Like the racism is there. Obviously, the discrimination is there.
course.
Just that
This guy's sad the
asshole
team
being-
lost.
yes, that is
Yeah.
maybe it's just like this dude just did the biggest accomplishment of his career. His team just won a championship. He's
Took a flyer on a
amazing.
1-year Kawhi.
right. Exactly. Yeah.
paid off.
Most insane decision of your career, and it pays off after
Well,
however
it's
many
Masai
months of
for
a
you,
season.
man.
Yeah.
Masai is an amazing. He's the best executive in the league, and I don't think it's even close.
No,
If he gets
definitely
Giannis,
not.
I think it's he's the Hall of Famer.
I think he's already a Hall of
Yeah,
Famer. man.
he's already.
He's
on
a
the
goat,
board.
though. He's the goat. No,
Yeah.
he's a Hall of Famer because he's African and he's in the sports. They kind of
Yeah,
throw away when he's
exactly,
like
yeah.
the first European. And he's a Hall of Famer. But if he gets Giannis in Toronto because they beat him in, I'm like, that's Durant 2021, right? Like that's
Right. Yeah. We'll see if that rematch happens in the conference finals. But I really think
I don't know,
Miami
man.
gets
Miami's really
Milwaukee.
good.
I really think Miami gets past
it's
Milwaukee.
tough.
I think
they match
they
up
shut
well.
down Milton. To me, I've said this many times. Sure, he's an all-star because you got to play well for a couple of months to make the all-star game, especially when
Yeah.
you're playing next to
Yeah.
Giannis
He's open.
and the best team. You bet best record. They're gonna give you 2 all-stars, especially if Giannis is he's gonna be a starter every year for the foreseeable future.
Maybe, yeah. We'll see about next year, but yeah.
In the all-star game I'm talking about. And then I don't think he's any good. I don't think the guys.
What did he do last
I don't
game?
think
Wasn't he
Milwaukee is-
2 for 10 or
I
something
don't think
shooting?
4 for something. Something like
Like,
that.
and this isn't a blowout win for Milwaukee. and
Yeah.
your second all-star is putting up, like, what do you need him for? If you,
Yeah, but to be fair to the Bucks, like Magic are at home, right?
yeah,
So you gotta
technically,
take
yeah.
that into account. Like these are all home games for them, which is kind
with
of
with all those fans, eh?
yeah, that's how they got in, I think.
Yeah, because it's
They used that
the home
momentum in there.
team thing. Yeah, exactly.
Well, what was your bracket looking like? You had an upset, didn't you? What?
Yeah, I had Dallas over the Clippers.
Yeah, that
Maybe
was a good
that's
one.
how that game one ended up going. I thought Dallas would have won that game if Chris Epps didn't get
Oh, swings it.
So I think Dallas would have been up 2-0, and I'm thinking coming into this game,
2-1
I
probably.
assumed Clippers would take it. Obviously, after you get a loss, it's gonna be win loss win loss win loss for each
Yeah.
team. And I'm thinking goes into Game 7, and I'm thinking, it's gonna be Kawhi, Luka, whatever happens there, and then I think Chris Stapps over Paul George. When he comes to the second star, I'm taking KP over Paul George.
Well, KP has been balling out
He's
in
been
his first
balling
playoff
out for
series.
sure.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he was okay in the bubble back and forth, but guys were trying to tell me that KP and Luka is like the top 3 duo in the league, and I was like, I don't think so. Like maybe not there. Maybe because it's like they think they are because they're white, so they're doing well because they're white. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of blows up
But
your
KP
your eye
made the
vision.
all bubble team, right? The second team, I think.
Yeah,
Was he on
people
there?
should have. I can't
Isn't
remember.
that so funny they did that? I thought it was a
Yeah.
joke.
Yeah.
Well, they gave the fans what they wanted, right?
Yeah,
I know.
exactly. Everyone was talking about it.
Double MVP, bubble coach.
Yeah.
They're gonna do it next
Bubble
year, right?
teams.
They're gonna do it next
Another
year, I think.
bubble.
Yeah,
No,
next
the last thing I read is that they're looking at a December start, but if their priority is to have fans
Yeah.
in the stadiums.
to
So
make
they're going to
money.
delay it. Yeah, of course, to make money. Of course, to make money. So they would delay it. If it becomes a possibility, they would delay it going into January, February, March, whatever it might be. So
I
I hope
kinda
it
like
starts in
this,
this.
to
I
be
love
honest.
it. I love it. I like it because I'm not going to
Well,
every
you
game.
have to think about
Yeah.
what the NBA is. It's a business, and they want to make
But
money.
what about
right?
us, Elias?
Yeah, screw your business.
Yeah, I
We
know.
like-
I
I just
don't
want
mind the
good
bubble.
basketball.
I
I'm
like
just
the
kidding.
bubble.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard
If I'm a
to
fan,
do
am I
the
gonna
bubble
do I want to
with
go to
the
that
30 teams.
arena? You know what I mean? Like I'm not sure if I want to go there.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
if fans are allowed in there, I imagine that it's not going to be full capacity in any of these arenas unless
No.
they have a
Yeah, but
vaccine
think
or
about
whatever.
it, how
But
they did the bubble now. Only 22 teams, and there was games all day.
yeah,
30 teams, and there's only 3 arenas there, I think, that they've been
yeah,
using.
that's
The
true.
ballrooms, they turn into like the practice facilities.
Yeah,
But how's that gonna work? Like, are we gonna have basketball games at like 9 a.m.? Technically, you would have to have that.
I imagine they
Or
would. I imagine they
or
would
they
have
would
two different
start
cities.
still at, or they that's possible
That's what I was
for
thinking.
East and
Is they would
West.
have a Vegas bubble and they would have an Orlando bubble. So they'd have
That
teams in
makes sense.
Vegas, have teams in Orlando, and do it that way. But
But we're in Vegas, like at the
um,
university.
They got the Verizon Center there.
no, they have what was it?
Yeah,
forget
but they
now.
got the Thomas and Mack.
They have the whole, yeah, exactly. They have everything they do for the summer league. They have those facilities there, and they have the reason why they
But
ended
Vegas,
up
those players are sneaking out, man. Let's be real.
with yeah, no
Yeah,
question.
but nothing's going on at the strip. What are you gonna watch? Like go to a show? Like what's happening there? Like,
No, but people are like I've seen videos now. Like people are going to casinos. I mean, they're players, like
Yeah,
we said,
Vegas stuff is
millionaires. They'll
they're
be able
snitching.
to.
I'll snitch on them.
They'll be able to do whatever they want.
Oh man,
Hey, who's that guy over there? My name's call me Darren. I'm a Darren. Can I see your manager, please?
you have that fake glasses with the
Yeah.
fake nose
Excuse
and
me, sir. That person of color over there is out.
We'll see. I
Right.
think the NBA really wants the fans, and I think that's what they're aiming for, and that's what's gonna
yeah, I
happen.
think that's the priority is
The
to have
start
the
date
fans
is
in
still
there.
the question mark,
Yeah,
obviously,
Mhm.
and that's gonna be the biggest question mark as soon as the season wraps up and after the draft, and then you have obviously the free agency that's gonna happen in October.
Oh yeah.
And after that, the conversation shifts to when can we get
Yeah,
this?
when
Is
do
it
we
going to be an
start?
82 game season? Are we talking bubble? Are we talking crowds? Are we talking fans? How we doing this? What's going to happen?
I feel like
That's
they should have done
gonna
the top 16. No East West here. This is the perfect time to do
it would
that.
be it would be a good time to test it. That's for sure. I
Yeah.
don't know
But
if
it
it
would
would
have
have
been a
worked out or
one-time
not, but
thing because again, they don't want the whole travel. Like imagine you have
yeah,
a 16 seed in Florida and in Orlando, then a 1 seed all the way in California or in the
Yeah.
Northwest up there in Portland or whatever. okay, you can try it here and it can work, but what about people like it? And they're not gonna do it where you have to travel that far of a distance.
Right now.
Let's be real.
There's no way Portland makes the playoffs, if there was no bubble. Not hilarious.
I don't think
Yeah,
so.
I
Yeah,
don't
that's
think so.
true.
Yeah,
It's
that
so
was a
funny.
cool. That was a cool thing about having this lockdown. About having giving Portland not only the time to heal up, get Nurkic back and all that stuff, but
Zach
then
Collins is out again, but
he's
whatever.
out. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
unfortunate. But then you had Damian Lillard, who said like during this shutdown, all I've really done is work on long range shots. Like I'm
It
gonna
shows.
take my game to another level where you're gonna guard me at the 3-point line. Okay, I'm gonna move back another like 5 to 10 feet.
Logo
and shoot
Lillard
from there.
isn't a mistake nickname.
It's some of those shots he was hitting during the seeding games in that game one against the Lakers when it was 89-89 and he stepped to the right and hit that shot from the logo. I lost it. I was like,
Damian Lillard is
Who pulls up from there? And like,
top point guard
don't
in the
even
NBA.
just guard him and let him take the layup. Like,
yeah, honestly, at this point, yeah. Every time he shoots, I think it's going in. Every single time.
Every
he
time.
But then if you give
That's
him a
why.
layup, he's gonna create contact and try to get a
I
3-point
know.
play.
Yeah,
Sucks.
exactly.
I love Damian Lillard. He's a great,
Yeah.
phenomenal
Yeah.
player. Everything he does.
Makes
There
you
was
forget about
even
Steph
mention-
Curry.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited to see Steph Curry next
That's
year
exactly
and see how that
the fun
goes.
thing there, yeah.
But there was, I think it was Earl Watson who
Yeah.
tweeted at one point Dame got a phone call where
Yeah.
he was told, come join a super team. And
Yeah.
then Dame called Earl, told him about it. And he's like, what do you want to do? And then Dame's like, oh, that ain't me. That ain't it,
Yeah.
And so he rejected it. And
What super team
Stayed
is
in
Earl
Portland.
put together? Like the Avengers or some shit?
When did he sign his extension?
The Suns? What are we talking about?
When did he sign his extension? Because that
it
would
seems like he signs an extension every year, to be honest.
I honestly he
feel
does.
like it, yeah, it's
Well,
true.
Portland has to because there's no with the small market you can't like.
That's the thing about Portland. Yeah, like we've.
They should get rid of CJ, though. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. But they're
Yeah,
best friends,
yeah.
so maybe he leaves
I
if
don't
he
know.
leaves.
Because CJ,
I like CJ.
again,
I think CJ's solid, but
in
like
those
you can
seeding
package
games,
him for something.
Yeah, if you can get something better, but in those seeding games, man, to make it
He was
into
good.
the
Yeah,
playing game,
he was
make it
solid.
into
I'm
the
not gonna
playoffs,
lie.
yeah, he
Nurkic has
carried
been
them.
amazing.
Nurkic, it was
A guy who
huge.
had that devastating injury,
Yeah.
was supposed to come back right before the whole stoppage, had an extra couple of months.
Yeah,
obviously,
exactly.
to
That's what I
heal,
mean.
And
Healing
they
up,
were
yeah.
practicing, and he came, and he's been like, hasn't
Lot of
missed a
stuff.
beat, honestly.
So good, and it changes everything down there.
And
And
shout out
it's
to
been
Carmelo Anthony too, man. The guy, I
Melo.
think he's
Gabriel's
shooting,
getting minutes there. Like,
yeah, Winnie
holy,
and Gabriel, yeah. I think Carmelo's shooting like 71%
Yeah, Will
Yeah.
doesn't like
on clutch shots.
Will doesn't
No,
like
he's-
Carmelo though.
don't be playing. I don't want to be playing like 36 minutes, guy.
This is
Like-
the perfect situation for him, Like he was getting hated on before because you
I
had the
know.
whole like I don't think there were coaches and stars on other teams. Let's say James Harden and Mike D'Antoni, or say Billy Donovan, Russell Westbrook, Paul George. I don't think those guys were treating Carmelo the same way as Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Terry Stotts are. I think Terry Stotts is a coach that just has a plan. And he's like, this is where
Yeah.
I'm going to put you. This is how many minutes you're going to play. You're not going to be the guy. Damian is the guy. And then Damian is going to be like, yo, Melo, I'm going to get you the ball where I need to get you the ball. But this is
Yeah,
what I'm
when
going
we
to do.
need you, he's hit some clutch shots.
Let's trade
Huge
about Trent
shots, huge
Jr.
shots. Yeah, Gary
he's
Trent
been
Jr., another
phenomenal.
guy. Another guy who's been
And
super-
been like defensively, LeBron's been fun to watch. Like LeBron misses a layup, and on the other side just smokes him with a three. It's so nice. And like LeBron, like looks for the like. That's what makes me think going back to him. Like there's no home crowd. When he doesn't think he thinks he gets fouled underneath. He's like, if there was a crowd, I'd be getting fouled. He knows
Right.
that. That's why he says it.
Well,
I'm telling
LeBron's
you.
also notorious for giving up on plays. Where he doesn't get a call and he's just like, oh, there's a foul, and then
Yeah.
jogs, doesn't run back when the other team's going on a fast break, and then Portland hits a shot, an
Yeah.
open three or whatever, and then he starts pointing at his teammates and yelling at his teammates like it was their fault. Like, buddy, we
You're
got
built
back on
different. You're
defense.
just
You
built
didn't.
different.
Yeah, he said that, right? we're built different.
Oh my God, Will, don't kill me, bro.
Oh my god.
But the thing is, this is a perfect situation for you, LeBron haters, Laker fans, because it's
I'm
it's
not
a
hater,
win,
man.
It is.
classic win-lose, dude.
So it's a win-win situation. Yeah.
I'm not a hater.
Either LeBron carries the Lakers to a championship, or they lose and you blame LeBron.
Yeah, it's easy.
I'm not blaming anyone.
It's the perfect
honestly. I just
situation.
want the Lakers to win. You guys know that. I
Oh,
want
you're a
the
fan,
Lakers
yeah.
to win.
Well, the other
do.
series, we don't care about the Jazz and Nuggets. That's happening. They're like, hey,
Shout
who
out to
wants to lose in
Utah,
the
man.
second round? That's what
Yeah. Shout out to Utah, man. Like that.
No, what about if Utah advances or Denver? We don't know. It's 2-1 right now, but Utah's looking really good
Yeah,
in
really,
games
really
2
good.
and 3. Even in game 1, but it went to OT and the Nuggets came out on top.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jokic was owning Gobert for a while, and then Gobert
Okay.
figured him out a little bit. So
Yeah.
What about if the Jazz get to the second round and they meet the Clippers? Do you think the Jazz have a chance?
I think
The way they've been playing?
I think they do. I think they have a chance for sure. I
It
think
really depends on Paul George, right? Like, is he going to come out of his slump?
is that the way it works? Like LA has to play
Joe
Houston?
Ingles is gonna shut
Yeah.
Paul George down. Don't you worry about.
Oh,
Don't
man.
you worry about that.
PG will shut himself down, dude. Don't worry about it.
This whole playoff P stuff started that Utah OKC.
It was there, yeah.
Yeah, and then
one game.
versus Joe Ingles. Yeah, and then Joe Ingles just shut him down. That was it.
It was over.
That
Remember
was
Shaq had him
hilarious.
on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was amazing. So yeah, if
Yeah, right.
Utah and the Clippers meet up, you can say goodbye to Paul George.
Because Utah has a team. They know how to move the ball. Donovan Mitchell has improved in terms of finding his teammates, getting them in the situations where they can be best, and they
Yeah,
got
in
Mike
this
Conley, a
situation, that
sound point guard.
continuity
obviously.
is important,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
that some of the teams have been playing together for a long time in a short, schedule like this. That's who takes advantage of it.
Yeah, and you look at Utah. Yeah, that's they've got that. And defensively, man, look at what they did to Denver today.
Yeah.
This is
So
a
I
Denver
think the
Nuggets team
Clippers,
with Jokic, Jamal Murray. Like
the Clippers
they've-
will feel it in round 2 if Paul George doesn't perform, because the other guys do extremely well when both those guys are obviously at their peak. Today you had them hit shots, like you had Reggie
Landry
Jackson hit
Shamet.
a 3.
Landry
Shamet was
Shamet
really good.
is the man right there.
Morris
Yeah.
hit a
Yes.
couple, but it was still a close game
Yeah, it was a close
because
game
Paul
for sure.
George
'Cause
wasn't there.
exactly. Yeah,
But if Paul George is there, then it's a different ball game.
Because
Yeah.
he has to see the ball.
yeah. I don't.
Not
And then I
only
think
that, because he can still make shots without seeing the ball. You know what I mean?
he's had open shots. He had this game.
Yeah.
He had a bunch of open.
And he
threes
can
that
still
he-
attack.
that he
He just
clanked off the rim.
Yeah, looking like
it's
Danny Green.
playoff B, bro. It's
Looking
playoff.
like Danny Green playoff B. Yeah.
It's playoff
But
B,
man, yo, Landry Shamet should have started game 2. I don't know why Reggie Jackson was starting.
Yeah, that
Landry
was weird
Shamet
today
should've-
too.
yeah.
What's happening there?
No,
Reggie
Landry
Jackson
Shamet
should
started
help him.
today.
Yeah, he started today,
Yeah.
but he
But why
didn't
did
start game
Reggie
2.
first two? Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
should have been Landry Shamet starting. That guy is a very good man. Like,
Yeah,
he-
I don't know. The
imagine.
Sixers are kicking
Yeah,
him
exactly.
now.
Imagine Sixers kept him over Tobias Harris.
I
Now
said
had-
that. I said that when they traded him. I said they shouldn't have traded Landry
Yeah,
Shamet.
no,
He
no,
could
for-
shoot. He can play ball. He was a 4-year guy at Wichita State, I think. And
something like that.
and I was like, when the Clippers got him, I'm like, this is gonna be a solid rotational piece for
He's a
them. And
dog, man. You see the way
Love
he
him.
dunked on Boban today.
Yeah.
The threes he
Mhm,
was
and
hitting.
one-
Like, I forget Paul George, man. It's Kawhi and Landry Shamet for me. If those two guys have it, it's done.
I've
It's
been
done.
rooting. I've been rooting for Dallas though, heavy. I just don't know what. Even like the San Andreas
too.
jerseys, I'm just like they're corny, dude. Like
Yeah, the-
Clippers in general are corny.
they are. Like they just really are.
I
just
really
hope
But
want Dallas
obviously,
to
the
win, but-
NBA wants to see, and the world wants to see the Lakers conference
Lakers,
final.
yeah.
Let's be real.
I know, but I don't. I'd rather it'd be funnier for me if they both lost.
Yeah, that's what I wanted, man. That's
Nah,
what I wanted.
it'd be
Portland,
funny if the
Dallas win.
Clippers lost. The Lakers
my-
are going all the way.
Yeah, I know. Well, who do you want? Who do you not want to see out
In
east?
the West? Oh, in
Who do
the
you know?
East?
Yeah,
Toronto.
you'd rather see the Bucks than Toronto.
Yeah.
I like
The
interesting.
Bucks played well against them, but I don't know. I don't think the Bucks have it now. Like
Yeah.
there's
That
too many
momentum killed them.
flaws.
I
There's
don't
too many
believe in Mike
flaws.
Budenholzer. Mike Budenholzer,
Yeah.
like it's the same thing from
Let's see
Atlanta
if
into
Budenholzer
Milwaukee.
can
Yeah.
make it. Let's see if Budenholzer can make a finals appearance.
Yeah, I don't think that's possible.
He's
man.
won coach of the
Playoff
year.
Bud, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
playoff
yeah.
button. Exactly.
He's won coach of the year, but they get to the conference finals and they lose with
Yeah.
the
He
Hawks.
doesn't. He
a couple
doesn't
times.
have much of a plan outside of what his basic
The Bucks.
plays are.
Yeah.
Right? Like he can't.
Shoot the
do
threes
much more.
around
How many
Giannis.
times?
Exactly.
How many times did they get the conference finals with the Hawks? Once.
Once, yeah.
Once with the
And
Hawks.
then he got bounced in the
once
second
with
round.
Milwaukee. Yeah.
And once with
Once-
Milwaukee last year.
Oh, I guess he went there. He went there last year, I guess.
last year. Yeah, once
With the Bucks,
Hawks,
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
once with
And
Milwaukee
once
last
with
year.
Hawks.
Yeah, and that's it. So
So yeah, let's
Yeah,
see.
but-
Let's see.
and I don't think that, and that was my other upset on my bracket was Miami over Milwaukee. I don't think
That I
Milwaukee
can see
gets
happening.
over Miami because Miami can play like Toronto played last year in the conference finals. Like they
Yeah.
have the personnel to defensively build a wall in front of Giannis and then get to the 3-point shooters to stop them. And those 3-point shooters aren't really hitting much, man.
Yeah.
Apart from Kyle Korver, Brook Lopez is scary because that guy, he's got a 7-footer.
But he's also hit or miss, though.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing with him.
It's up to Middleton, really. Middleton's been not good, so he's gonna like even Middleton's numbers last year. He didn't show up. He had one game maybe when he had 41 points, but he had like 6 points one time, like 8 points, and then he showed up in game like 3 with 41 or something. Like, oh, watch out, Middleton. Then he had 6 the next night. So, like, so then and they lost game 6 and they didn't show up again. So
exactly.
it's like Middleton shows up, they're good, but he's too like when it happened when those virtual fans are out there, man, something happens.
Yeah,
Those bright lights.
It's gonna be interesting to see what happens over the next few days. Are those sweeps gonna be completed in the East?
Yeah.
And we'll see the game 3s between
Imagine
Miami, Indiana.
a Jimmy Butler and Giannis matchup in the second round. I would love to see that.
That's
Beautiful.
definitely gonna happen. Like
Yeah.
the Bucks are winning in 5.
Yeah.
I don't think Giannis is gonna drop another game,
Oh.
and we'll see how many games Miami takes. Miami's looking really good right now. I think they could sweep
Oh yeah, they should. They should.
Indiana. We'll see how Indiana comes out there in game 3. But I've been enjoying the bubble. I've been enjoying the playoffs. And then the Lakers have a tough matchup with Portland. I've loved watching the Blazers in the seeding games. I knew they were gonna make it. They were just too hot. And then the play-in game was good.
Yeah.
So we'll see how these playoffs keep going and what happens in rounds 2 and 3, and then obviously the finals. I'm excited.
It'll
Let's
be
roll.
good, man. It'll be good.
Yeah.
Talk about
I guess that does it for us. We'll see if we'll probably put out a few more of these until we get back into the station, hopefully sometime soon. But hit us up on Instagram, the 3 in the Key, on Facebook, of course, 3 in the Key, Twitter, the 3 in the Key. For Will, Fuad, I'm Elias. Peace.